So this is my final presentation for Evo. So first we're going to talk about phylogeny and what a phylogenetic tree is. So first of all, a phylogenetic tree is a diagram that represents evolutionary relationships among organisms. The pattern of branching reflects how species or other groups evolve from a series of common ancestors. For example, an animal phylogenetic tree. So I'm going to talk about how birds and dinosaurs, how scientists came to the conclusion that birds came from dinosaurs. So they thought, based on the shared features between birds and dinosaurs, they were able to figure out that birds were just a branch on the dinosaurs' phylogenetic tree. So these birds evolved from theropod dinosaurs, and when they did, many of their features were modified and evolved through a complex series of species. So next we're going to talk about life histories. And the species that I chose was actually a polar bear, and they're case selected, and they are also have a late reproduction cycle, which is between November and early January, and they're idioparous. So the interesting behaviors I found is the mating system that they have. So females will leave a trail for the males so they can eventually mate. So what the females do is they leave a trail, and eventually a male will find the trail and follow the trail, and it will find its mate. Now, the evolutionary history of polar bears is they evolved only 150,000 years ago. It has been known that polar bears evolved from brown bears, but until now, it wasn't clear what has happened. But according to the research, polar bears evolved from brown bears that ventured onto the frozen ocean. Females usually mate successfully for the first time between the ages of 6 and 8. They only have about 5 litters in their lifespan, which is one of the lowest reproduction rates among mammals. Females only mate every few years, so males must compete fiercely for a female to mate with. Now, when the male bears fight over a female, the challenger will lower its head, but his ears back and his mouth will be open wide, roaring and baring teeth. Polar bears seldomly fight to the death for mating rights, but the weaker bear usually submits after an injury. Also, at birth, polar bear cubs weigh about 454 to 680 grams, which is roughly about 16 to 24 ounces, and are about 30 centimeters to an inch long. Males are born slightly larger than females, but what I thought is weird is since the males are born larger, the females actually tend to be larger than the males after full growth. Now, humans evolving. Human evolution is the lengthy process of the change by which people originate from ape-like ancestors. Scientific evidence shows that the physical and behavioral traits shared by all people originate from ape-like ancestors and evolved from over a period of approximately 6 million years ago. One of the earliest defining human traits is that the ability to walk on 2 legs, which evolved over 4 million years ago. Other important human characteristics, such as large and complex brain-like structures, the ability to use tools, and the capacity for language, and which has developed more recently. Also, humans are being able to drink milk and digest it more, which I found a case study in 2006 that said that they found the tolerance for lactose was still developing as early as 3,000 years ago in East Africa. So the genetic mutation for digesting milk is now carried by more than 95% of the Northern European descent. Also, the removal of wisdom teeth because from back then their jaws were much larger than ours, and our jaws are becoming much smaller now, and resisting diseases. There are studies shown that going forward through the years, how humans are actually being able to fight off diseases more than actually how they were back millions of years ago. And so humans are definitely still evolving, but the question is whether are we still adapting. Now, climate change. Climate change is a global or regional climate patterns, in particular or change apparent from the mid to late 20th century and onwards, and largely to the increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. So with that being said, I do believe that climate change is real and not a hoax, because with all the research and the video that we watched in Evo Lab has shown that we've done more harm as humans to the world and started more climate change and global warming. But the big one is that what humans are doing is the amount of fossil fuels that we are burning, such as oil and coal, which emits greenhouse gases into atmosphere, primarily carbon dioxide and deforestation. So, also what we are doing that's affecting the climate is we have an increase of livestock, and because they produce large amounts of methane when they digest the amount of fertilization, due to most containing nitrous oxide, which is leading to the greenhouse emission effect. Now, the greenhouse emission effect is a gaseous compound in the atmosphere that is capable of absorbing infrared radiation, thereby trapping and holding heat in the atmosphere. And by it trapping and holding heat into the atmosphere, it's unable to break down and release itself. And without it being able to release itself, and all the heat building up, it's causing the earth to heat up by a degree almost every year. Now, here's a map. It shows the average temperatures in the United States during August 2016. So as you can see, the redder on the map, the redder in color is the warmer it is. And slightly yellow, whitish color, you can see is average temperature. And blue, which is not shown on the map, is supposed to represent the cool temperature. But as you can see on the map, most of the world of the United States is either warm or it's above average temperature, which is not good for the earth. But here are my sources for each question. Alright, thank you.